From the Jake Lindsay Studios in Warrington, England, this is Series 2 of The Jake Lindsay Show. Now, here he is, the man himself, Jake Lindsay. Thank you, voiceover me. To all those who watched the show last series on Facebook and YouTube, welcome back. But for all the newbies out there, welcome to The Jake Lindsay Show. So, what's been going on since we went off air? Well, too much has been going on, to be perfectly honest. Downgraded A-level results, theatres, casinos and bowling alleys reopening, and 1.3 million COVID-19 swab tests being silently removed. In fact, so much has happened, and there is so much more stuff waiting in the wings that I'll be here all night if I was to talk about all of it. So, what have we got coming up on the show this week? Well, to start off, I'll be talking all things 2020 and mental health. Then I'll be having a chat to the CEO of Warrington Youth Club, Dave McNicholl. And then we'll have music from Tom Charnley. The big issue, yeah. It's time for the big issue. This section will be used every week to talk about the biggest talking point. The big talking point that I've selected for this week is 2020 and mental health. I read this week that more than 2/3 of adults inside of the UK have reported feeling somewhat or very worried about the effect that COVID-19 is having upon their life. Let me break that down in more detail. The most common issues are worry about the future, which sits at 63%. That figure is rising by the day due to the downgraded A-level results and soon-to-be announced GCSE results. Feeling stressed or anxious sits at 56%, and feeling bored, which is where I sit, somehow has the smallest percentage in the set of results that I read, at just 49%. I just don't get how that can be right. I've been twiddling my thumbs for months on end, yet being bored is nothing compared to the other parts of the graph. If you think that you fit into any of these categories, please don't be silent about it. I put some links in the description to websites where you can find help, support, where you can talk to someone and feel safe. Thank you. This week's guest is Dave McNicholl, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, Jake.
So, my first question is, what's it like being the CEO of an organisation for young people rather than like an office job or something like that?
I think I have the best job in the world. I love it. It is, every day is different in my job. There's lots and lots of opportunities. There's lots of challenges. I think the reason I love it is we change kids' lives, and we genuinely help to save the lives of children who are in quite a difficult place. And not only that, and one of the most important things we do is we help young people feel more confident, and we help them to boost their self-esteem. So although I don't now have the opportunity to work as closely with children and young people as I did when I started out in youth work, it's really important to me to try and get to spend as much time as I can with children and young people. And at the moment, during the school holidays, I'm trying to go around each of our projects and meet as many young people as possible. It refreshes me, and it reminds me about why I do the job. And also one of our values of the organisation is to have fun. So we try and make it not feel like a normal office and have lots of rules. We have volunteers and staff who work for us who we all live and breathe and believe in children and young people. And because of that, we think in the same way. And we do need to have some rules, and we have to have some policies and processes we follow. But we put children and young people right at the heart of everything we do.
How does it feel to you to be in such a high up position in the workforce in these unusual times? Like it's your job to make big decisions and how things are run by the youth club at the moment?
Jake, that's a brilliant question. How does it feel? When the pandemic started back in March, and there was a lot of information coming out very quickly from the government, and it was every couple of minutes or at least every couple of hours, it felt as though new information was coming out about what we could do and what we couldn't do, and things were changing very quickly. That was about the same time that schools closed down, a lot of businesses were closing down, and I had to think about how do we make sure that the children, the young people and the families that we work with and support are safe. I also had to think about how we made sure our staff and our volunteers were safe. So that was quite a busy time, and quite, in many ways, quite an exciting time, because there was so much going on. We had to talk to our staff, we had to talk to our members, children, young people and families. We had to talk to our funders. We had to talk to the board of trustees that help us that govern the organisation and support me to run the organisation. So there was a lot that needed to happen in those days. I think one of the things that I've been most made up about, for want of a better word, is the fact that throughout the pandemic, Warrington Youth Club has carried on supporting children, young people and families. And most of that, as you may be aware, is through our childcare project that we've run at the Peace Centre. And since the lockdown started on the 23rd of March, we have been supporting we've provided 25 places every single day, from Monday to Friday, throughout the bank holidays, and including Easter Saturday, for children who are the children of doctors, nurses, cleaners, porters and people working at Warrington and Halton Hospital. And that's been really important to us, although it's only a small part of the big response that had to happen for the pandemic. We played a part in that, and for our staff and for our volunteers, being there right at having a part to play in supporting the NHS to be able to provide those vital services to everyone who needed support when the pandemic was on, was really, really important. And one of the best things was the children had a brilliant 6 months. We put on lots and lots of activities, day trips, all kinds of events, and it's been fun. So yeah, it's been busy. It's been there's also been a lot of work we've had to do to raise money so that we can carry on running Warrington Youth Club during the pandemic and after the pandemic does settle down. So we've had our team of fundraisers has been working flat out with me and some of our board members to raise as much money as we possibly can during this time. So it's been busy. It's been quite tiring, but it's also been quite exciting as well.
During the pandemic, what are your thoughts on this particular video conferencing platform tool that we're using?
Again, a brilliant question, Jake. I think the video conferencing, so Zoom, Teams, we use Skype a little bit as well. I think that the whole country has started using video conferencing and things like WhatsApp and Messenger a lot more than we had done previously. In fact, in February, I had my first, nothing to do with the pandemic, we had our first Zoom meeting, and it was all very new and everyone was getting used to it. Now Zoom's become part of the everyday process of what we do, and I'm normally on about 4 or 5 Zoom calls or video conferencing calls every day, as are a lot of our team. I think for young people, I think, well, first of all, for our staff and for companies and organisations, I think it's going to change the way we work. People will work from home and will work from other places moving forwards. I think it will save people and companies a lot of money in terms of having to travel up and down the country. Train travel isn't cheap, and this platform, this way of talking, means that we can have some interaction. We can have meetings which are effective. However, what I would say is that people we're social beings, and we do need to interact face to face with people to get our energy, and talking to a screen is very different to talking to someone in real life. So I think when we can, we need to maintain a mix of video conferencing and face-to-face meetings. There's another thing though, Jake, that one of the things you might be aware that we've done at Warrington Youth Club and across the on-site network is something called Youth Zone at Home.
Yes.
And yeah, you know about that?
Yes.
So Youth Zone at Home has been really popular. We've not been able to deliver our programs, as you know, to children and young people like we would do in the normal pre-COVID world. So we took everything online, and what I realised was about a month after we started, a lot of young people were engaging with us online, whether it was through Facebook, through Zoom, or through our website. And I think there's a real opportunity. I thought at the time that there's a real opportunity to take this forward in Cheshire. So I'm actually working with a funder called Cheshire Community Foundation, and we're looking to see if we can develop a platform for children and young people from across the whole county, and that would bring charities, organisations that work with children and young people together to and in one platform. So they would provide, whether they're a music organisation, an arts and drama organisation, a counselling organisation, they will provide all of their services in one platform. And then children and young people from Macclesfield, Congleton, Crewe, Warrington, Holton, right the way across the Wirral, can all access the platform and get the very best services that are available from. There's 4,000 charities working across Cheshire, and each of those charities, or many of those charities, have a lot to offer to young people. And whilst we can't do that face to face, moving forwards, this gives us a very, what we're recognising as being an agile way of working, a different way that allows children and young people to access services when the door isn't physically open. So maybe later in the evening when some children do need support, or over the weekends when charities and organisations aren't able to operate, because it costs a lot of money to run the youth club or the service. So one of the things we can do is to provide these services through an online platform.
I know that Youth Club at Home offer has helped a lot of the young people who would usually attend the sessions, but how those people from across Warrington and their families who may struggle to take part in the offer, what sort of help can they get from you?
So children and young people who can't access our online offer, yeah. So what we do, so we're doing the Youth Zone at Home, and that is where we're providing the services that you're aware of. So that is activities we do through Zoom and Facebook and our website. For the families that need a different type of support, what we've been doing is phoning and making contact with those families. Some of them have needed just someone to talk to, because actually being in lockdown's been quite lonely for a lot of people. Even if you're a family, sometimes there can be quite a lot of pressure within the family home. And our staff have been phoning each families every single week. Over a course of 10 weeks, we made 1,543 calls to different families and young people. And those phone calls have resulted in a number of things. Some is just a chat and a chance for them to talk. Some of the families have then said, actually, we're struggling a bit with money and we haven't got enough food. So Warrington Youth Club has been able to provide food hampers to families that have needed it. We've also been able to provide packages, what we call care packages. So things like cleaning products and toothpaste, toothbrushes, razors are all quite expensive, and we've been able to get some donations and give those to families. And then the other thing that a lot of children obviously have been out of school for 6 months, have struggled, is to actually have some pastimes, something which is educational but not purely school. So we've been able to work with other charities, and one particular charity called Passion for Learning, based in Chester, and they have provided packages for us to give to local families. And those are packages that have had academic packs in there, school learning packs. We've had colouring packs for younger children. We've given calculators out. So what we've tried to do is also come up with things that families can do together to support children through the closure of school. And although some children will really love the fact that school hasn't been open, it is important that children still keep up some of their schoolwork so that when they do go back to school in September, October, that it's not too big a transition back into school.
I know that the Youth Club recently had the 24 challenge and the marathon challenge. Would you explain how they help the families as well?
Certainly, that's again a brilliant question. The two challenges, the 24, as you know, was two of our workers, our sports coordinator Chris and our head of youth work Chris Capstick, undertook a challenge where they walked and ran on treadmills for 24 hours, and they completed 60 kilometres. The funding that they raised through that event, and then the virtual marathon that you talk about, which took place only a couple of weeks ago, has raised money to, rather than actually help families in the COVID situation now, what we're using that money for is to support families. Sorry, so the money from the 24 is supporting families in the way that I just explained, with giving care packages to families that need it. The marathon challenge, we're using the funding from that to help us to provide mentors for children when they return to school and they need that little bit of support to get back into education. And that might be a mentor who meets them on Zoom during the school day or during lunchtime when they're in school and listens to them read or helps them with maths or English, or just listens to some of the challenges that they're going through in their everyday life.
How have those families that you've helped through the 24 challenge reacted to the help and support you've given them?
Overall, the support that that families have received has been really, really positive. Because we've been making contact with the families, and because those families know and trust Warrington Youth Club, the support has been targeted at those families that really need it. And we've built up a level of trust and with those families, so that they know that when they talk to us, first of all we'll do is listen and help where we can. And secondly, if we can provide them with some support that they need, nobody will ever know who's received which support. In fact, I don't know which families have received which support, because it doesn't matter. All I know is that we've managed to help, and we've delivered over 150 care packages in the first 5 weeks. And in fact, the programme will carry on right the way through until October. There's lots of people who you may know through listening to the news, that lots of people their jobs are unstable, and there's redundancies where people are losing their jobs. And that means that family and children are likely to be in a situation where there's less money in the family home. So what we're trying to do is to keep the support that we can provide going for as long as families need it and as long as we can provide it. But everyone has been thrilled. And if any family has said, I don't want that support or I don't need it, we've been really respectful in just saying, that's okay, we're here if you need us.
When do you estimate that the club facilities will be able to open again?
Jake, that's a brilliant question. And one of the challenges we have at the Peace Centre is that because we're providing childcare for the NHS during the day, the children are dropped off with us at 8 o'clock in the morning. They don't leave till 6 o'clock in the evening. That doesn't allow us then enough time to set up for the youth club in the evening. But the other challenge is that because of infection control, we're all aware of how we've got to maintain cleanliness and social distancing. What we've chosen to do is to, rather than try and bring young people into the centre, is to actually take our services out onto the streets. So we have had, for the last 9 weeks, staff teams of youth workers going out across Warrington, working with children and young people in parks, in community settings, around shops, wherever young people are congregating and hanging around. We will meet them and we'll work with them. What we often do is take out equipment. So some of the equipment that you would use in the youth club, some of the equipment that you would use in the gym, we've taken into the parks, and we've been able to do some work with young people and run some sessions and activities and give them a chance to get involved in something that's fun and something that's a bit quite a positive activity rather than maybe getting a bit bored. So that's one of them. When are we going to reopen? Really good question. One of the things we're doing at the moment is, like every business in the country, we've got a risk assessment together, and we're just looking now at when we can open safely. I think the likelihood is that we're going to reopen our youth club in some form, but I don't know exactly what that's going to be towards the end of September. Our team needs to do some training so to make sure that we have got we can provide the very best services to children in the safest way. And to do that, we need to make sure that our team have the best training possible. So the likelihood is we're going to look to reopen our services in our centres in October. However, as every business in the country is saying, and as the government is saying, we've got to wait and respond to whatever's going on with the pandemic. And if there are any spikes which happen in September, then we'll take a call on that when we know exactly where everything is up to.
What infection control precautions do you think will need to be put in place to allow your facilities to reopen?
So some of the first of all, we've done a risk assessment for every one of our centres, and that then tells us what we need to do to make sure that our centres are as safe as they possibly can be for children, young people, staff and volunteers. What we do, and we have done the whole way through the lockdown, is we take the temperature of every person entering the building and we record that. If the temperature is too high, then we don't permit them access to the centre. What we also do is to give people information before they attend the centre, to let them know that if they do have any COVID related symptoms, that we ask them not to come anywhere near the centre. We've increased the cleaning regime as well. So our cleaners are operating more hours than they did do. And whereas we used to just clean the centre in the morning, we now have an advanced cleaning regime where they'll clean in the afternoon, or when we come to open the youth club in the evening as well. We have increased we have hand sanitizer stations around the centre. And depending on the guidance when we do come to open, we may ask young people, parents, carers, visitors to the centre to wear face coverings if government guidance is still indicating that that is the best way forward. And we have personal protective equipment, so gloves and face coverings available for anyone who needs them or wants them as part of their visit to the centres.
What age do people need to be if they're thinking of joining the youth club when they finally reopen?
So we work with children and young people who are aged 7 to 19 or up to 25 if they have a disability or a vulnerability. So the youngest you can be is 7, and that's normally when you're in junior school, so year 3. And you can access our holiday club and our junior youth club, which is normally 2 nights a week. The senior sessions, we have a transition from when you're 12 years old. So when you're in year 7 into year 8, when you're in year 8, you then move into our senior youth club, which also runs 2 nights a week. And whereas the junior sessions run from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m, our senior sessions run from 6 till 9:30 p.m. The senior club also includes access to our gym, and we do have some junior sessions for our gym as well. Young people are asked to pay a membership if they can afford to, of £5 a year, and that gives them access to the gym and to the youth club.
Finally, how can people get in contact with the youth club if they're thinking of joining?
So a whole load of different ways. We're really active on social media. So Facebook, we are WYC Official on Facebook. We're also WYC Official on Twitter, if people want to tweet us. We have a website, which is www.warringtonyouthclub.co.uk. You can email us, info@warringtonyouthclub.co.uk. Our landline, it has been difficult to get hold of us on our landline because our office has been closed down, and although we've diverted calls, it's been difficult because we've had quite a lot of staff working on different projects or not actually physically in the building. but our people are returning into the office now, and our landline is 01925 909 660. And you can also call into the Peace Centre to get some information. If our team are there from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, and if we're not there, there are other people who can give you information about the Peace Centre as well.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to me this week. You've been so very interesting.
Jake, it's been brilliant. I've really enjoyed it. You're an excellent interviewer. I think Anson Deck are going to have a run for the money when you get onto social media.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Look forward to speaking to you soon, Jake. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye now.
Dave McNicholl, everybody! Let's keep that positivity going as we take a trip to Positivity Corner. Positivity Corner. Here we are in Positivity Corner, where I'm going to try and cheer you up by talking all things positive. If you have anything positive to share, please send it in to the Jake Lindsay Show by contacting me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For this week's trip over to Positivity Corner, I thought that I would say that I passed my Pearson Level 3 BTEC. I am saddened to hear, though, that most places of education haven't yet received the results of the Pearson BTECs. Surely you'll get them soon. I'm also saddened to hear of the A-level results, with 40% of students being downgraded due to the new algorithm set up by the British government. To cheer you up, I knew that you were all looking forward to music festivals, so I thought I'd bring the music festival to you right here on the show. I'm going to bring on a different singer, band, or musician each week to perform for you. So it's time to take to the stage. Take to the stage. Today's guest performer on Take to the Stage is Warrington's very own Tom Charnley. He's here to perform the track Smooth by the band Santana. I chose Smooth for him to perform because of the word smooth. The word smooth gives me the feeling that everything will be okay eventually. Thank you for that video, Tom. That was brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for everybody you've seen on the show today. Dave McNicholl and Tom Charnley. Next week, I'll be back with Ted Cross and Joe Symes and The Loving Kind. Be kind to one another. Bye-bye.